All right, Rabbi, say good morning. Let us begin. So we are picking up in Yirtzeh Hashem in Seif Dalid in Tzidkas Hatzaddik, continuing along in this incredible journey with Rabbi Tzaddik HaKohen of Lublin. We're picking up paragraph Dalid. Mitzvah Rishona Shenis Chayev Ha'odom Kishinas Ha'odom Ben Yud Gimel Shana. So actually, I mentioned this piece by the Rebbe when we started Maseches Brachas at the start of the last Daf Yomi cycle. So the Rebbe says something amazing. What is the first mitzvah that a bar mitzvah bacher is obligated in? Right, the boy turns 13 years old. The first mitzvah he has, hu kriyas shema shal arvis. Interesting. The first mitzvah he has is nighttime shema. Right, remember again, he becomes a bar mitzvah at night, so his birthday comes, and once he becomes a bar mitzvah, the first halachic obligation that he has is the recitation of Kriyas Shema Shal Arvis. Recitation ultimately again of Kriyas Shema at night. He goes on, Kriyas Shema Shal Arvis Shu Harashis. This is the first thing. Kimoshe Kasavnu La'el, Ki Hu Ubrachos Echad, Raksha Brachos Befrat Hamasim, Vizu Bichlal Akol Maisa Hakima, Va'akol Maisa Hashchiva. So remember again, the Rebbe is making reference to what we mentioned before, the distinction between a bracha and a mitzvah. Right? Remember again, we spoke about the concept that the bracha is to acquaint one directly with what it is that one is doing. It's the focus one. It's the Lashon Nochach, Baruch Ato Hashem. I'm speaking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, connecting to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we're going to leave that distinction aside for now. But the Rebbe points out again that the first, and remember, Kriyas Shema, like we saw about by the last Seif, is unique because a person recites it at all the different stages of life. Remember again, as we spoke about for the last 2 days, the mitzvah of Shema is not in the morning and at night, but rather the mitzvah of Shema is when I wake up and when I go to sleep. At the different stages of my day, there is an obligation for Shema. So he goes on, he says, V'yalif mibriyaso shel olam. Good. V'yalif mibriyaso shel olam. Liyan kabbalas al ol malchus shamayim. Remember again. So the whole idea, first of all, in general, that Kriyas Shema, this is just a technical point, that Kriyas Shema Shal Arvis is considered to be first, before Kriyas Shema Shal Shachas. Remember again, the order that the Torah gives is B'shach B'cha Uvekumecha, when you go to sleep and when you wake up. So remember again, from our perspective, often that sounds strange because we think about the day as a continuum from when we wake up until we go to sleep. But of course we understand this because this is modeled after the creation narrative. And in the story of creation, the way the Torah phrases the story is Vayerev Vayihi Boker. It was morning, it was evening, one day. From there we learn the construct that from a Jewish perspective, the day is structured, begins at night, and ultimately again ends at the end of the following day. That's the continuum. That's why again, Kriyas Shema, when we speak about the obligation of Shema, it's B'shach B'cha, when you go to sleep, Ubikumecha, when you get up. Therefore again, the calendrical day switches over when? At night. Therefore Bar Mitzvah Bacher really becomes Bar Mitzvah at night. And therefore because of that, the first mitzvah he has is the mitzvah of Kriyas Shema Shal Arvis. The first mitzvah he has is the mitzvah of nighttime Shema. So the question that the Rebbe is now going to deal with is why? Why is that, right? Think about this just a moment. We're initiating a young man into the service of God. There are so many different ways in which you could frame that initiation. So many different ways in which you would want to go ahead and kind of give him his first experience, his first taste, his first exposure to Yiddishkeit. Right? You're now a man, as we like to tell the bar mitzvah boy, right? So now that you're a man, what's the first thing you're going to do as a man? And amazingly enough, now again, remember, technically speaking, you could do other mitzvahs that night, but the first obligatory mitzvah that the bar mitzvah bacher has is Kriyas Shema Shal Arvis. So the question that the Rebbe ponders is why? Why is that the first? And he says something so amazing. He says, the Bereisha Chashucha, Tzarech Kabbalas Alma Ol Malchus Shamayim, Af Mitoch HaChoshech V'Asichlus V'Idr HaMaisim. So the Rebbe says something amazing. He says, up until now we were focusing on the concept of Kriyas Shema, Shal Arvis and Shal Shacharis. In the eve, right? I should say, B'shach B'chav Kumecha, when I go to sleep and when I wake up, as really focusing on the need to accept the yoke of God and to establish relationship and to serve God in my different stages, in my waking stage and in my sleeping stage. The Rebbe now says something so profound. He says, also waking and sleeping, which is connected to light and darkness, or darkness and night. Darkness and night also has another metaphorical level of understanding, which is darkness represents adversity, difficulty, challenge. Darkness sometimes represents what we perceive as the absence of God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's non-connection to us, the withdrawal of God from the world, versus daytime, Bikumecha, light, represents times of good, times of beauty, times of holiness, times of bracha, times of success. So says the Rebbe something absolutely amazing. He says, now look at that line once more. He says, Dibereisha chashucha tzarech kabbalas al malchus shamayim. In the beginning, let's translate the words, then we'll explain it. In the beginning, when it's dark, that's when you must accept the Ol Malchus Shamayim. That's when you must accept HaKadosh Baruch Hu and forge a relationship. Af mitoch choshech. You must create a relationship even in the midst of darkness. V'asichlos va'idra maisim. So says there is something amazing. Do you know what the message to the Bar Mitzvah Bachar is? The message, the Bar Mitzvah Boy, Mazel Tov, welcome to the nation. Right? You're now a man, a responsible member of the Jewish people. Do you know what our first message to him is? That you have to learn the art of establishing a relationship with God even when it's dark. Even when it's dark. Because life is filled with adversity, and life is filled with challenge, and life is filled with difficulty. Zohi Achaim and Abosai. That's true for all of us. The only thing that varies person to person is the nature of the challenge. There's no person who doesn't have challenges, and there's no person who doesn't have adversity, no person who doesn't have difficulties. You have yours, I have mine. You might look at mine and say, wow, he's so lucky that those are his challenges. But I'll say, when it comes to the world of challenges, it's always easy to look at your challenges and say, well, there are children starving in Africa, right? Somebody always has it worse. That's true. Somebody always has it worse. But if anyone's ever said that to you in the midst of your challenges, no one says, oh, thank you. Thank you for saying that. That was very helpful, right? Very helpful. Thank you for that perspective, right? Instead, usually when someone says that to you, you grow pretty resentful. I know that my problems aren't the worst problems in the world. I got it. I know that there are people who have it worse than me and have more difficult times than me. I understand that. That doesn't change the fact that my problems are still my problems. So to minimize them by pretending like because they're not the worst problems in the world, therefore they shouldn't be problems, is really it's hurtful and totally unhelpful. So what we say to the Bar Mitzvah Bachar is something absolutely amazing. You are now a Bar Mitzvah. You are now a son of responsibility. You are now a member of the nation. What is your primary responsibility? And the answer is Kriyas Shema Shal Arvis. Right? B'shach b'cha. The key to being a successful Jew is the ability to maintain a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu even in the midst of adversity. Even when there's challenge, even when there's difficulty, even when things aren't easy, do you have the ability to connect with your God, to serve your God, and to maintain a relationship? That is the key. And therefore, that is mitzvah number one that a Bar Mitzvah Bachar performs. But the Rebbe ends off, and with this we'll end off as well, but he says, but here's the beautiful idea, that if you say Kriyas Shema Shal Arvis, if you say Kriyas Shema B'shach B'cha when you go to sleep, then says the Rebbe, Az B'sofa L'kaima Ba'osher V'nehora Diyamama Hasoga Haberura Sha'al Yidei Zeh Nimshach HaMaisa. But says Rebbe something so amazing. However, if you go ahead and you find the courage to recite Kriyas Shema Shal Arvis, to recite Kriyas Shema of B'shach B'cha, to go ahead and maintain a connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu when it's dark and when it's difficult and even when there's adversity, a person who has a relationship with Hashem B'shach B'cha will be zochet to have a relationship with Hashem B'kumecha. In the morning, when it's light, when times are good. Such a profound, and that's the continuum, says Rebbe. So now it's a new. See, I just want to point out the beauty of this is these are things that we do every day, but don't usually give all that meaning. Don't pay deeper attention to it. Of course, we concentrate on Shema. We say the words with Kavana, but understand according to the Rebbe what we're doing. Number one, I'm serving Kadosh Baruch Hu in the different stages of life and connecting to God. I'm connecting. I'm kabim makabel omach Hoshayim when I'm asleep and when I'm awake, because I have an obligation to serve God with my dynamic activity, and hopefully my dynamic activity influences the way that I think and the way that I dream. In which case, I serve God even when I sleep. But now the Rebbe takes it a step further. Shach b'cha uvekomecha also represents the different states of life. B'shach b'cha, nighttime, difficulty, adversity. Bikumecha, light, daytime, bracha, blessing, beauty. And says the Rebbe, the goal in life is, if you become a b'shach b'cha Jew, you'll become a bikumecha Jew. If you serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ultimately, again, when it's dark, and I will say so many times, we're God's best friend when everything goes our way. But the moment that ultimately, again, things don't go according to our plan, we become resentful, we become angry, we become questioning of God. And the truth is, that's not the way to have a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We must place our trust in the Ribbon Shalom, and even when things seem very unclear and things are difficult, we have to believe that He has a plan for us, that He loves us, that He cares for us, and that His providence is always guiding us. That's what it means to be a B'shach B'cha Jew. That's what it means to be a Kriya Shema Shel Arvis Jew. The ability to always have that connection, no matter what it is that's happening. And he who is a B'shach B'cha Jew, ultimately again will be Zocher to be a B'kumecha Jew. He who is able to forge a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even in times of darkness and difficulty, will ultimately be Zocher to see the beautiful blessing of HaKadosh Baruch Hu during the daylight as well. All right, we'll stop over here. Meretz Hashem will pick up with Seif Hey on Monday. Shekayach.